Blacks in Technology.
Blacks in Technology. Blacks in Technology. Blacks in Technology. Blacks in Technology. Blacks in Technology.
Welcome, everybody, to the 57th episode of the Blacks in Technology Big Tech Talk podcast. I am your host, Greg Greenlee, and Ayori.
You've never done it that way before, Greg. You called me off guard.
I know. I'm sorry. I should have warned you. I should have said, hey, we're going to, I want to do it like that because I always I don't like, I want to share this, and so I don't want to be, I want to be the person that does that. But anyhow, Greg Greenlee and Ayori. You can check us out at www.blacksintechnology.net. Also, check us out on Twitter. You can follow us at Black in Technology, and that's BLKINTECHNOLOGY. Also, check us out on Facebook, like our page. That's www.facebook.com/Blacks in Technology. There's also a LinkedIn group under Blacks in Technology, so you can just do a search for Blacks in Technology. You'll find our LinkedIn group. And if you are wanting to pose any questions to our guest tonight, from Twitter, use the hashtag BigTechTalk. That's BITTECHTALK, Big Tech Talk. Who is Blacks in Technology? We are a tech-focused community and media organization focused on increasing diversity in technology. Our mission is to increase visibility, participation, and change the perception of people of African descent in technology through community-focused activities, events, and media. Blacks in Technology is stopping the divide by establishing the blueprint of world-class technical excellence and innovation by providing resources, guidance, and issuing a challenge to our members to surpass the high mark and establish new standards of global innovation. Our goal is to enable our members the opportunity to surpass current standards of excellence and establish new standards of global innovation via mind sharing and collaboration efforts. Our team is focused on forming new partnerships and opportunities to assist you with your continued professional growth and development. If you want to partner with us, if you want to partner with Blacks in Technology, send us an email to partnerships@blacksintechnology.net. For any general inquiries, send us an email to info@blacksintechnology.net. All right, so we got a little bit of housekeeping to do. We want to do some mentions here. I want to mention OSCON, that's the open source conference put on by O'Reilly Media, and that's going to be happening July 20th through the 14th. That can't be right. That'll be going back in time. So now I have to look it up.
No, July, not June.
It's July 20th through the 24th. That's what it is. Why did I have the 14th there? That's weird. So the 20th through the 24th, Portland, Oregon, is OSCON. That's happening. Big open source conference, one of the biggest in the nation. And we also we have a code for that, BIT20, BIT20, if you want to get 20% off the admission. We partner with O'Reilly Media to offer our members that discount. So BIT20, you want to go to OSCON, it's in Portland, Oregon, use code BIT20 and you'll get 20% off admission. What else is going on, Ayori?
What else is going on? Yes We Code is going on. So keep a lookout for the hashtag YesWeCodeHack because Kino is hosting another hackathon focused on the mission of getting youth of color to code. And this time they partnered with Yes We Code and Essence Festival to deliver 4 days of hacking during the day and music and entertainment in the evening. So they're going to have artists such as Nas, Mary J. Blige, Jill Scott, Lionel Richie, and the legendary Prince performing all that whole weekend, while during the day, young folks are hacking and building apps to solve problems in their community, ranging from the areas of education, health, restorative justice, and environmental sustainability. It's going to be off the chain, y'all.
So definitely check out the Yes We Code Essence Festival, which Blacks in Technology is a community partner as well for that. Just want to plug that, throw that mention in there. I also want to mention FaucetCon. It's another open source conference that's going on in Orlando. It's put on actually by That's actually getting put on by a friend of mine, Brian. I think his last name is Stein. FOSSCON is going on in Orlando. And what's the dates on that? The dates are September 11th through the 13th. First annual FOSSCON will be held at the Rosen Plaza Hotel in sunny Orlando, Florida. So definitely check that out. I want to mention our tech line. We implemented a monthly tech line system, and we ask our memberships to submit blog topics and write blogs, focus on topics they find useful for the day-to-day execution of their jobs as a system engineer or technology professional. And if you want to contribute to our blog and provide tech line solutions to our membership, send us an email to techline, TECHLINE, at blackstontechnology.net. Also, we spotlight a member of the community every month. So if you're starting a new job, you're an expert in certain areas, you want to share your accomplishments with our community, send us an email. We are doing a Founders Hour podcast where we, spotlight founders and spotlight other people. It's the third Wednesday of every month we actually didn't do our first one. It was supposed to start May 21st, but our first one is actually going to be, I think that's July 16th. We're spotlighting a founder there. So if you want to submit, if you want to be on one of the Founders Hour, submit your information to Jewel, that's JEWELL, at blackstontechnology.net for consideration. All right, what's going on in news, tech news around the nation?
Tech news. Man, there is so much going on right now. Google I/O's conference just celebrated a more than doubled increase in women attendees this year. So they increased to meet the rough industry standard of around 20% for tech conferences. Now, this accomplishment was achieved through a combination of partnering with organizations focused on supporting women in tech, organizations like the Anita Borg Institute, Women Who Code, HackBright Academy, Hack Reactor, and others. And they really celebrated it in a great way. I was fortunate enough to attend some of their Women Tech Makers events where they had, I think it was 5 different events around San Francisco that were packed, and they hosted us for happy hour and dinner and networking, and really gave the women in tech community a great platform to connect with each other so that when we showed up at Google I/O, we felt comfortable, we felt like, we had friends, and it was just really a wonderful experience. So I think that's some awesome news. In addition, following suit after Google, Yahoo, Facebook, and LinkedIn recently released their staff demographic data, showing that 4 of the tech sector's largest firms remain largely white and male. It's a fact. But guess what? That's why we're here. We're here to change that and increase diversity in technology. And we're glad that you're listening and supporting us in that and being a part of the change that will bring more innovation and diversity to technology. Also, important news around scholarships and some other conferences out there. Strange Loop and also the Grace Hopper Conference are offering scholarships to increase diversity of attendance. Those scholarships will include passes as well as travel stipends. So if you're interested in this, and everyone should absolutely be interested, get out there and make sure you apply to those scholarships. If there's anything holding you back, tweet us, send us an email at Blackstone Technology, and talk to us, because we want to help you get over that hump so that you can participate in these events, because they are a key part of the strategy to improve diversity and innovation in the tech sector, and it can support you in having a very successful career. So we want to see you there.
Definitely. So let's get into introducing our guest. You want to do that, Ayori?
Oh, yes, absolutely. I'm so excited. So Leah McGowen-Hare is joining us today. Now, this woman is, I'm just going to read from her bio a little bit here because she is an incredible person, and I don't want to mess this up. So Leah McGowen-Hare is an accomplished and dynamic master technical trainer with Salesforce.com. Now, she has more than 20 years of tech experience under her belt, mastering roles ranging from consultant to developer to management, and what she's doing currently, which is technical training. She's been a top Dreamforce trainer since 2009. Dreamforce is the largest technology conference in the world. And, just check her accolades on Twitter. People are always talking about her. She's a wonderful person. I love tweeting her. I love it when she retweets my tweets. She's really an inspiration to communities of color through organizations such as Life Course, Girls Who Code, and Black Girls Code. Through her role at Salesforce, she took part in an incredible charitable effort that involved moving the government of Haiti onto the Salesforce platform to better enable the entire country to provide social services to the people of Haiti. And this is after the earthquake, the tragedy of the earthquake. So wow, just to be in her presence is incredible. To add to that, Leah is a dance instructor. She's a fitness model and a lifelong champion for fitness and nutrition. Now, welcome to the show, Leah McGowen-Hare.
Thank you. Thank you. It was a West Indian to bring out my Trini accent.
I know. She did the thing from, what is that, in Living Color. She has 20 pins out.
Yeah, good job. Yeah, man, we got work to do. We got work.
So glad to have you on the show, Leah.
You know, and if I were doing the intro, it would be that and then some about Ayori, but I'm going to fall back because Ayori knows.
Oh, yeah, Ayori is great.
Ayori
is
ridiculous.
This is about Leah, though. This is about Leah. Come on.
I know.
I just hear from you.
I am honored to be here, and this is wonderful. You know, I'm glad that I'm now in a space where I can be open about my geekness and embrace it and make it cool. Because back in the day, honey, it wasn't as such. I was a closet geek.
Wow.
Oh, you're talking about back in the day. Let's go back there and tell us, give us your background, how you got started in tech. Let's go.
Well, yeah, I was a prodigy child. That's why I started so early. I'm a Deuce Hauser of the technology. No, I started off, you know, I was blessed and fortunate that I had, my father was a professor, my mother was a teacher. So I did not come from, you know, a wealthy family, but I came from a family that was educated and valued education and saw the value of education. So that was a true blessing for me, my brother, and sister. My father introduced me to computers back in the 80s. My first computer was like a Commodore PET, and it was one where you put a cassette tape in and you push play. And you know, he wasn't in technology. He was actually in education. So, but he was always abreast of the latest. So he actually introduced me. So I started coding at 12 years old, and I was coding like in BASIC. BASIC was the language then. And then went off. I went to, you know, boarding school, was coding throughout boarding school, which was interesting to me because back when I was in high school, which was back in the I think.
Oh, what was that?
I think it got broke up. I think it was a little unclear. For some reason that just didn't come through clear. I don't know what that was about. Anywho, moving forward, they taught coding, and I don't know when and where that just dropped off. Like it fell off. Coding was no longer being taught in schools. So, and I'm not talking, you know, even in private schools, it was not being taught. So I was quite surprised to learn of that. But I developed but lo and behold, my goal was to be a Broadway dancer. But apparently that wasn't my father's goal. So I majored in college, and I told my father, I'm majoring in dance. He was like, oh, no, you're not. I'm going to let you play with this for 2 years, but then you got to get a real major. So I did, and I changed to computer science, and I still did dance on the side, as always, in theater. And, you know, moved to New York to work for a company at the time called Anderson Consulting, where I was a consultant and did development as well as ended up managing development teams. I actually worked in the World Trade Center and did development in the financial services for many years. And then moved out to California and joined a company called PeopleSoft, now Oracle, and did development there. But then I fell into my passion, which was technical training, because it married the best of both worlds for me. I could still be abreast of technology, but I could actually engage and talk with people. Because any hardcore developer knows developers don't chitty-chat with each other. So I probably was, as someone once put it, when I come into the office, productivity goes down, but morale goes up. So, you know, it's a trade-off. because I'm a little social.
Ah, got you. I think it's interesting, that you mentioned your love for dance, because I kind of feel like when people of color are represented in technology, it always seems so one-sided, right? Like I see pictures of people who aren't people of color, and they have like these whimsical pictures, and it seems like they're not taking themselves as serious sometimes, just kind of like playing around and things like that. If you see some of the profile pics of them, and it seems like that we have to have the opposite, the look. Like always has to be. We always have to be studious, and we always have to be so straightforward and kind of straight up and down. And I like to hear people who are in technology that have this other side, even especially when it's more along the artistic side too. So to show, especially when it comes to showing young people out there that there's no box that you have to be in when you decide to go into technology. And I think a lot of people, young people, might think that might be the perception. Like, hey, if you go into technology, you have to be this quote unquote lame square geek. But I think it's okay to embrace the fact that you are nerdy and that you are geeky, but at the same time, show this other side. You don't have to be put in a box. You should be defining what it is to be, in computer science, to be a computer scientist or an engineer, and not let that title define you. So it's good to hear when people have this artistic side to them, or this other side to them, these other activities that they like to engage in.
Well, Greg, it's interesting you say that, because it falls upon a hardcore truth with us. I mean, I was brought up that you had to be twice as good. You had to be twice as serious. And that is something that is sort of innate to us culturally. And when you go into these environments, and it was true for when I entered corporate America back then. I'll never forget when I was sent off to St. Charles, Illinois, to Accenture's training center out there. And I looked at the walls of the founding fathers, and I was like, what the heck am I doing here? Because it was all old white men, and here I was, this chocolate girl amongst many others that, other people that were there. I was probably one. There was one other gentleman who was from South Africa, a black gentleman from South Africa, but that was it. And, you have this feeling like, okay, and then we also sometimes carry on our shoulders. We got the weight of the world. I've got to represent not just me, but my people. I've got to, I can't be in here, lollygagging. I've got to represent it. My forefathers have fought for me to be here. So you have that almost built into your DNA. So you're right. We're not going to be in there all whimsical and, walking in with flip-flops and, like it's our home, because it is not. And you realize every day that there is only one of you. So there's so many people who can tell stories. When they first saw me come in, I know there's one developer when I worked at PeopleSoft, and there's several people at Salesforce. When I first joined any company, they saw my head is down. I am studying the landscape. I am very serious about what I'm doing. I'm very, very serious. It's not until I have shown my credibility that I begin to loosen up. That's just how I go.
Yeah.
I have one who always tells the story. She's like, I saw her walk in, and she had this suit on, and she was all serious, had her hair pulled back, and I was like, wow. So then a year later, I was like, oh, okay, we were all sold something different. But it's just, before you get comfortable, that you can literally let your hair down. At least for me, that's kind of what works for me.
Nice.
That's awesome. So just switching topics just a little bit to talk a little bit more about the world in which you work in the profession and the technology around that. I'm curious what your opinion is around cloud computing and, really what's made that cloud computing take off so much as it has.
Well, I've seen sort of the evolution of computing and go through many different stages and evolve and constantly be evolving. When I started off, it was mainframes, and, you had the black screens with the green letters or orange letters, and you had batch programming and online CICS. And, boy, I remember us development teams, we would fight over who got the online, because that was the coolest piece, to do the online work. Nobody wanted to do the batch programs, right? So, that's where you have the green letters showing up, and it was pretty fancy for us. It was terminal, computer, whatever. And then you moved over to, client server, and then it was like, oh, my gosh, look, there's color. Wow. Now you can have all these crazy UIs, and, oh, look at these animated GIFs, and, oh, it just got crazy, right? And then it was like, okay, we need to pull in usability. Somebody's studying user interfaces. So that took off for a while. All these great, people companies invested in these usability testing labs to see how the user interfaces were effective or if they weren't. And they would, have people volunteer to come use the software, and they'd watch them study it. It was really interesting. And then, that then moved over into, the web, where you had these web applications and hosted solutions, which was on a conceptual level very similar to cloud computing, but not necessarily the same depending on the architecture behind the cloud computing. Whereas people would sell themselves off as cloud computing, and really it might have been a hosted solution where, in essence, instead of me housing my server, you're housing my server, and I'm still paying for the full-on server, the full-on database, even utilizing all of that. So that's more of a hosted solution. So then learning about the whole cloud computing when I joined Salesforce was really, it was like, my analogy would be like learning an exercise that used a part of your muscle you've never used before. And it's like, ouch. That was me using parts of my brain that was like, what? Wait a minute, that does not compute. How does that work? I really had to stretch the way that I thought. I had to stretch the way that I was introduced to developing. And it was a shift in my mind thought, which is great. It's never comfortable, right? It's never comfortable, but the end result was great because now I can see things in different ways. And just learning about the whole multi-tenant environment and, the slicing and dicing of the servers and the back-end architecture, which made that very different than what we would refer to as a hosted solution, which a lot of people are still calling their cloud solution. So probably more than you care to know, but yeah.
That's incredible. I really love the way you tell stories, Leah, because, the change that happened, when we moved from client server over to cloud computing, there were, unfortunately, people who got left behind, and there are always people who get left behind when the change happens. And what we're seeing right now is we're seeing another change. We're seeing the third wave of computers coming. We're seeing the Internet of Things, connected devices, wearable technology. And as much as it's going to be a challenge for some people to catch up, it's a huge opportunity for many others who are excited about this shift. And listening to you talk about cloud computing gets people excited. I mean, I don't know how you do it. You have a gift. It's wonderful.
Well, I mean, when you start stretching your brain and you're absolutely right. And it's so interesting, Ayori, that you say that people get left behind because for some reason, I think I'm the magnet for those people that get left behind because because I can sometimes go back, back in the good old days with JCL and COBOL, and their eyes light up and they're like, yeah. But then I'm able to move forward, and those people who got left behind are still there. And it's like, and you know what? And that's okay because those systems still need to be supported. We still need to integrate with those systems. But I really think it's in your best interest to understand the architecture of the newer systems, even if that's not where you're going to be working. But if you are going to want to stay relevant and marketable and be able to say, how can you add value? How do your skills add value in a new world? You need to know about that new world. So a lot of times at conferences, I get a lot of people who are still left behind coming up talking to me about the good old days, and I can talk to them about it. But, at the same time, I'm like, you might want to learn a little bit more about what's going on today. Because they're like, well, there's cloud computing. After they've taken my class, they're still talking about how great the good old days were. So sometimes those are my hardest students. I'm telling them why this is good.
But I think you're the one who's able to bring them forward, though. I believe it.
Yes, for that moment I can. I agree. For that moment I can get them, it's very rare that I have students that are not excited about learning something new, very rare. But I do remember one class where I had, it was like a bunch of COBOL programmers, and I'm trying to teach them object-oriented programming, and it was like, oh, I would just rather have a class of people who've never seen code in their life.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of funny that you mentioned that. I had a situation recently where I wanted to present on a topic involving, computer management, configuration management, and tools, more specifically Puppet. And I kind of got a little bit of feedback about the talk. They, not having me do the talk. Some reasons behind it, but I got to talk to the people today. The people kind of run an organization, and I was just telling them, like, hey, like, this is something that is going to make, people within the community marketable. Not only that, it's something that's easily, I like to say the word, onboardable. So, like, you can pick it up, you can learn it, and instantly throw it on your resume. We shouldn't be shying from what's going on in the industry right now when it comes to computers, and throwing infrastructure up there at scale. This is something that we be taking the lead on as far as organizations for people of color in technology, so that they have the necessary skill set, in order to be more marketable and to be more relevant in technology. So I definitely understand where you're coming from when it comes to that.
Oh, absolutely. And I think it's also that safe factor, and a comfort factor. You like to stay with what you know. It's safe. But the problem is the world is constantly changing, and if you don't change, you're going to fall. At the same time, you can't be, that new gadget hole where you're jumping on everything that comes out, because you've got to, things have to grab some traction before it gets some kind of validity. And if people often see, like in the dot-com boom, where people were jumping from company to company waiting for them to go IPO, and people watch that on their resume, they're like, okay, these people are just looking for the next big thing. I don't know if I should invest in that, because if I, and so at the same time, it's a thin line. You've got to balance between what is worth me investing in understanding and learning, and what is worth me, staying with and really getting to know more depth knowledge on this.
Yeah. And just hearing you talk and hearing you, tell stories around technology, I can, tell how you're able to bring people along. And I want to kind of talk to you about that, because in reading your bio, I like one particular word in there. You use the word demystify, right? And I think it's important when it comes to the discussion of technology and people who are seemingly new to it, that some technology gets demystified. Like, for instance, I was actually I attended a meetup here, a Blacks in Technology meetup here in Cincinnati, and I wrote a piece on cloud computing for the Blacks in Technology blog. And one of the gentlemen, a gentleman came over to me. I guess he recognized my face, and he said, "Oh, you're the guy that wrote that piece on cloud computing." He was like, "Oh, it totally makes sense to me now." He was like, "And I'm a network engineer. I still didn't understand it until you kind of broke it down." And I think that's really important, to not scare away some people and kind of bring them into the fold. So tell us why you feel it's important, and what approach have you found that works best when it comes to demystifying technology? When I was undergrad at computer science, I needed somebody to demystify it for me. I needed analogies. I'm a very visual learner. I needed pictures. Drawing ones and zeros on the board did not help me. I remember assembly language was the hardest language I took in my undergrad, and I had to take it twice. I'm not even going to lie. I can't even take the first one. I was like, I think that's going to have to be a do-over for me right quick. Because it didn't help that I had a professor who was a mathematician, and he was the worst professor. But anyway, I digress. So I just had experience in learning what worked for me. And so when I know technology can be very cryptic, and developers can talk in a very cryptic way, in which they don't even say full sentences, and the other developers already got it. It's like, oh, yeah, I did my 105. Oh, got it. And that works for them. But when you're trying to, and I played the role as a consultant when I was between the developers and the end users. So having to grab those requirements, translate them back to the developers to ensure that we're capturing it all properly, those kind of, I sharpened my skills there. So then when I came time for me to be in the forefront teaching this stuff, and I watched people's faces, and what's interesting is I come from teachers. My father, like I said, was a professor. My mother was a teacher. So lo and behold, why am I surprised I end up teaching? Right, just a different context.
So I take all of my experience and how my learning, what works for me, and I bring that to the table. So, for example, when I teach object-oriented programming, there's the whole concept of classes and how objects come from classes and how classes have attributes and methods. And I always use the same analogy. I try to bring real-life analogies, and I use the analogy of the human. Think of human as a class, and each one of us in this classroom, we're an object from that human class. And when I see the light bulbs go off, everybody goes, I get it. So just finding different analogies that help people digest this information a little bit better. I want them to walk out with a positive learning experience. I'm not there to show them how smart I am. I know how smart I am. But the key is for them to walk away feeling empowered and learning. I have taken many development classes, computer science classes, where the instructor was just pontificating and basically showing us how smart they were. And I would walk out of the class feeling like, oh, my God, they are so smart, and I know nothing about what they just said. This is not meant for me. I remember thinking, that is not an empowering learning experience. The learning experience is taking the information you know and being able to translate it so somebody else is able to walk away feeling empowered. What's the point of me walking around feeling all empowered if I can't empower other people? I just don't understand that. That does not compute for me, right? So I will try, when I'm delivering classes, if I see one way is not working, I'll try a different delivery mechanism. I have drawn 6 people on my whiteboard and say, okay, this is such and such, and this is the grandfather, this is the child record, and I draw a child there, and this is another child, trying to get the concept of parent-child and traversing parent-child relationships, blah, blah, blah. I will figure out a visual to go with it. I have drawn visuals for what does memory look like, and when you instantiate an object in memory, what does that look like? Here's a picture of it. So I work a lot with visual aids. I just feel like everybody learns differently, and it's harder as an instructor to have all these tricks in your bag, because, a lot of times instructors want to, this is how I deliver, you have to assimilate to it and get it or whatever. And that's fine. But for me, I rather spend my energy in trying to figure out, okay, that didn't work. Okay, let's try this. How about this? Because I can see everybody learns differently, and I learned that in my grad studies. Some people are kinesthetic learners, some people are audio learners, some people are more visual learners. So you just kind of have to figure out what your audience is and try your best to accommodate that.
Thank you, Leah. Thank you. Bravo. If you've just joined us, you are listening to the Bit Tech Talk podcast, and we're talking to Leah McGowen-Hare, Master Technical Trainer at the most innovative company in the world, Salesforce.com. If you have questions for Leah, tweet them to us at #BitTechTalk, and we'll get them answered on the air live. You just heard Leah talking about her methodology for demystifying technology with the regular layman.
Oh, you just dropped a line. I should drop a beat. Methodology. I just a D. Ashe. Snap, snap, sister. Spoken words right there.
So, when it comes to getting more diversity in technology, I'm going to take a little bit of a deeper kind of tone with this one. When it comes to getting more diversity in tech, tell us about the role that you play in enabling this.
Well, honey, just when I walk in the door, I have enabled it, right? Here I am, black and female, and there we're diverse. There we go, right? And when I first entered corporate America, I had, I was already fighting the power, right? I'm like, fight the power. I remember this is how crazy I was. I would not conform to wearing a suit, right? And I was working for Arthur Anderson Consulting. And I wore a backpack because I was not going to carry a briefcase, okay? Yeah, so I'm not going to do all that. And I'll never forget, I went to my first meeting, and it was a diversity meeting, and there I was, the one with the red jumpsuit on, short jumpsuit with orange toenail polish on my toenails, and with my backpack. I'll never forget, it was like a suede backpack. Here I am asking all these questions, and I'll never forget, the woman who is one of my best friends to this day and is my mentor, Nelly Borrero, who is a partner at Accenture now, looked at me and looked at the person next to her and said, "Who made that hiring mistake?" And honey,
wow.
Yes. She scooped me up and she said, "Listen." And she was my mentor ever since. And she told me that, Leah, you have great ideas, you have great thoughts, you're a brilliant mind, but you've got to know how to navigate corporate America. Nobody's going to hear your message when it's couched in such anger and such hostility. So she really helped me craft my message and my persona in a way that was more digestible to most people. Because I was coming in looking for a fight, just looking for a fight. Just, why there's no black people here? Okay, you need to calm down. So I used to be this hardcore, and then I figured out, I've got to learn to work within the system if I want to see change in the system. If I don't want to be isolated out myself, if I want my viewpoints to have any validity, I've got to learn to not just require them to be diverse, but I, as an African-American woman, need to be diverse in my thought patterns, too. My mentors need to be somebody completely opposite of me at times. One of my best mentors and friend taught me how to negotiate. It was a white guy. He taught me how to negotiate. He was like, "That is unacceptable. This is how much you asked for." When I went off and did my own consulting for a few years, he's like, "This is the price. This is what you asked for." And when my other friends were like, they didn't know. They're like, "Girl, that sounds good to me." Whereas he was like, "Oh, absolutely not. You need to ask for more." So I think it's in our benefit, too, that we need to be diverse in our groupings to really be able to navigate these walls of corporate America. Now, in terms of getting these numbers up, I, too, have read the numbers this week, and it was really disheartening. It was really disheartening. I was really disheartening. That's all I can think of. It was really disheartening. And I thought, well, what can we do? What is it that we can do? And I know, and I have to believe, and color me naive, but the company's intentions are good, and they don't want these numbers. This is not this isn't what they aim to be. However, as many know, I believe Silicon Valley companies, all of them, mine included, they all really wanted to pride themselves on being meritocracy. We hire the best talent regardless of race and ethnicity, but they never took into consideration the unconscious bias that's prevalent, right? So, and like I said, I did an interview with USA Today, and I think it just came out tonight, that if companies want to incorporate diversity, you have to be intentional about it. It does not just happen. It does, it's kind of like if you want to get in shape, it does not just happen. You have to put that work in. You have to be intentional about the workouts you do. You have to be intentional about the food that you take. If you want diverse and an inclusive environment, you need to be intentional about that. You need to go out and, yes, hire the best talent, but make sure your talent pool is diverse. And guess what? It may not come easy. You're going to have to go out there and work. The people are out there, but you're going to have to go out there and look. You're going to have to go outside of your normal recruiting or your comfort level or your network of the old boys club. You're going to have to go out there. You're going to have to go outside of that. Otherwise, you're going to end up rendering what you always have. So if you don't make it intentional, it does not just happen.
And that's the kind of change where it might feel really difficult when it's new, when you've just started it. But I expect it to be something that's just like a muscle, that once you've started exercising it, the muscle gets stronger and it becomes more natural, and it even starts to feed itself. Your efforts start to increase upon itself exponentially. What do you think?
I agree. I like that analogy. Yes, absolutely. Now, we do fall off on our exercises from time to time. Got to have a buddy be like, "Hey, this hiring pool coming in isn't looking so diverse. What's happening?" Oh, right. You know what I mean? So we do have to have our checks and balances in place. Now, let me just go on the record, and everybody who's listening, hear me loud and hear me clear. I am not saying go out and hire someone just because they're African American or just because they're a woman. you are doing yourself a disadvantage and you're doing that person a disadvantage. That is not the point at all. And that would backfire in the long run, right? Nobody wants to be hired for that. People want to be recognized and acknowledged for their talents and their skill set and their tenacity, regardless of race. I'm saying make sure your recruiters are working hard to provide you diverse candidates, qualified diverse candidates. It's really, you know, that you have to be intentional about it. It's not going to just happen.
I think you might be the most impassioned guest we've had on the show thus far on this topic.
I agree. Yeah, I agree. And I want to point out, I kind of want to get the phrase that the statement that you made correct, because I want to tweet that out. You said something about we shouldn't, just require, not only should we require orgs to be diverse, but we need to be diverse in our thinking as well. Is that kind of?
Absolutely. We always want to point the finger.
I think that's perfect.
You need to befriend people who don't look like you at work. You need to get mentors that don't look like you at work. You need to open up your mindset too. I think sometimes we think, well, we already live in their world. We know all about them, but we really don't. And as soon as you put that thing that you know everything, you're not going to be open to learning other things.
Snap, snap, snap.
I'm just saying.
No, I think that's really important. I think that gets lost in the conversation quite often.
Yeah. There's responsibilities on both ends. Don't get it twisted. There's responsibilities on both ends. And another responsibility we have on our end, and Ayori has made me accountable, thank God. I call her like the Angela Davis of Salesforce or the Harriet Tubman. She's going to make sure we are all accountable in that company, as she should. And, there's times when I'm slacking where I don't want to participate in things. I'm like, look, I got to go home and take care of my kids. I got stuff to do later for all that. But you know what? We do have a responsibility. And, I think it's important that we, for those of us that have walked into the doors, that we make sure we expose and we connect with the youth in whatever way it is, whether it's working with nonprofits or whether it's bringing your own kids and your kids' friends or whatever to your job and exposing them. It's a point that you make sure you're exposing the youth, because they are not going to believe, if they don't see themselves represented there, they truly feel like it's not a place for them. And we are there. We're not large in numbers, but those of us that are there have a responsibility to make sure we connect with the youth to let them know it is viable. It is a viable option for you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and we got some, we want to get into that as well, talking about the kids and later on in our questioning. But I want to talk about, we touched a little bit earlier about, activities outside of tech and showing this other side of yourself, being a person of color in tech. So I kind of want to talk about, you're really into health and fitness, and can you share a little bit about that aspect of your life, what got you into that, and some of the things that go along with that side?
Oh, sure. I mean, I think everybody. We're all complex individuals. Nobody is just straight up black and white, right? I computer, I just sit in code, blah blah. No, there are so many. We all have many different complexities to us. For me, like I said, my passion, I grew up watching Fame. I just knew I was going to be Irene Cara. Then I was going to be Flashdance. I had my ripped shirt, my headband. I forgot my headband and leg warmers. I'm ready. Whenever you're ready, I'm ready. I even auditioned to be a fly girl, lo and behold. And I was told by Jennifer Lopez, you can dance, but you don't have the look. Next. I was like, okay. Well,
wow.
Yes. So, but it never killed the passion.
Just to let you know, I'm throwing out all my Jennifer Lopez CDs right now.
No, don't do it. No, but it wasn't Jennifer Lopez.
I don't have Jennifer Lopez CDs.
It was Rosie Perez. It was Rosie Perez.
Oh.
Rosie.
Wow, Rosie was feisty for Rosie.
She said, you can dance, but you don't have the look, okay? Next, they were looking for somebody Latina. And I was like, listen, you don't know. I could be Dominican. You don't know what diaspora I come from, okay? I could be Latina. Anywho, we got it all in us. So I danced. I teach at 24 Hour Fitness. Oh, I don't know if I should say that. I teach at a gym, and I do have a passion for fitness. I love to work out. It helps relieve stress that I have. I was running for a while. I finally did my half marathon. My goal this year was to do a half marathon under 2 hours, and I literally did it. I did it at 1:59:59. I swear to God, that was my time. I looked at my time. It was 1:59:59. I checked that box.
Is that 26 miles? Is that what a marathon is?
So half marathon, 13.1.
Okay.
13.1.
Gotcha.
And then I got into, I fell into amateur bodybuilding about 2 years ago. And I've been doing that and fitness model for a while. So, just keep it fresh and keep it relevant and keep it tight and keep it relevant.
Yeah, that's hot. I mean, because, and I attend quite a few, or I have attended quite a few, technical conferences, and it seems like sometimes people, some of the participants are, I guess their thing is to kind of buck the system, and I don't have to be, this person that stays, I'll eat, what I want and eat 20 Twinkies and blah 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 blah, and people see that perception of it, and they think that's kind of what what they have to fit in. So, like I said before, I love hearing things like this. People talking about the other aspects of their lives, and
I think you hit on it earlier, Greg. It's that I think what we have to do, black, white, green, we have to stop buying in to these images that media will have us believe. The media will have us believe if you're a techie, then you're out of shape, you eat lots of junk food, you never leave your computer, right? And so you feel that's the image that you need to buy into. And if you're anything other than that, then you lose dev cred, you lose dev credibility, right? Or if you're African-American female, these are only your choices of what you're going to be when you grow up. Here are those images. So I think what we have to do is just stop buying into these images and create our own images. I heard it said once, turn off the television and start telling your own vision. Tell your own vision.
Wow.
Wow.
Yep. Wow. Oh, power.
Tell your own vision.
Power. Oh, my goodness. So now here's another area where you certainly inspire me. I've seen you in action, but you have little ones as well. Greg also has young ones. I have young ones. Many of our listeners do as well.
Yeah.
Now, what have you discovered as being the key to supporting your children and getting a great education and preparing them to be competitive in this technology economy?
I think the biggest thing is exposure. And, you, Ayori, I know it's not about you right now, but you do that one Trinity because you expose it to any event you're at. Trinity's right there. So it's this exposure. So, hackathon, they know what a hackathon is. My son participated in a hackathon. My kids, watch mommy do computer stuff. They watch mommy do bodybuilding stuff. They can see, it isn't so foreign so that, kids can grow up and say, I've seen a variety of things. I've been exposed to a variety of things. So it's tangible to me. It's something that I can reach. When children lack exposure, they believe it's out of their reach. That's just not something that I've ever seen, nor will it be something I do. So I think it's really important that you give your kids exposure the best that you're able to do. And, does it mean he's going to, he did a hackathon, does it mean he's going to be a coder? No. But at least he's exposed it, he's tried it, and he knows, I can do this too. I can do these other things, even if I don't see myself represented in this because I've been exposed to it. I think that is one of the biggest things.
Yeah, and I want to step even just a little bit further away from the tech topic because I know there are things that you're instilling in your children aside from the tech piece that's making them so strong. Your children are just brilliant. So can you talk a little bit about that as well?
First of all, there's just no way I couldn't do it without my husband. Definitely he is just as much responsible for their success as they are for their own. And I think, the whole parenting and, the making sure we're both active participants is key. Instilling a level of spirituality in our home and we definitely talk, in terms of we don't conform to a certain religion. We're definitely spiritual individuals. We do go to a Christian church. Those things are important, but also health. And we do things as a family. Like now we are doing weekend hiking every other, I think my daughter negotiated something else. So every other weekend, she said we have to create a pattern. So one weekend hiking, the next weekend beach. One weekend hiking, next weekend beach. So we definitely, we stay together as a family and really appreciate family time and do family things. On Friday nights, because I can't really go out, I have kids. So I decided I'm bringing the party home. So on Friday nights, we have dance parties. I bought a little strobe light. I did a little playlist together, and we danced. I taught them Soul Train line. I made them watch Soul Train on YouTube so they could see what Soul Train looks like in the Soul Train line. And so we do a Soul Train line every Friday night.
Wow.
I'm going to party on one way or another.
No, those are great ideas. I mean, for family bonding, I've never thought about that. And California has these beautiful natural resources. It makes no sense to live in California and not go to the beach at least once a month, or go for a hike. And all these are free things. These things don't cost.
Mm.
You know what I'm wondering right now? I'm wondering what it's going to be like for your kids when they go to school and they say, "Oh, we were Soul Train dancing." And I'm like, "What the heck are you? What is Soul Train?"
Well, my twins just had a birthday party, and they go to independent school, private school, so the majority of their classmates are Caucasian. And we came and we had a dance party and we made everybody do Soul Train line. Those loved it. They loved it.
I'm going to have to create a change.org petition to bring back Soul Train with Leah McGowen-Hare as the host.
Everybody can bring back Soul Train in their own home, honey. Soul Train will always be alive.
I think I'm going to steal that. By the way, I got to do that. That brings that generation into this generation.
It's important to know about these things. These are part of our culture, part of our history. Soul Train. I call it like I whenever we're in the car, I make sure my oldest that he knows the music. I'm like, who's that singer right there? He's like, Luther Vandross. I go, no, it's just Luther. We just say Luther. It's not Luther Vandross, it's Luther. I go, okay, now who's that? He goes, Stevie Wonder. I was like, okay, these are all important things. Rites of passage.
Yes.
And, there's a new show coming out in the fall called Blackish, which is a kind of like, trying to instill that culture in your kids. So it's the things that we sort of took for granted growing up with that some of our kids just don't see, like double dutching.
Yeah.
My kids.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Hello?
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. Kind of cut out. And
Sorry.
No problem. So it's a great discussion. So let's, I kind of want to shift gears and talk a little bit about, kind of career-specific question here and for technology, because you've been in technology for over 20 years. Obviously, you've been successful in staying relevant. So what are some of the keys to your longevity, and how do you stay relevant?
When Ayori had mentioned, when the technologies come off, some people don't change with the technology and fall to the side. I remember almost being at that point. I was holding on to the technology that I knew was the most relevant at the time was PeopleSoft, but I knew that was falling off soon. I mean, it's still out there. And I was at a crossroads with my career where I could have went with one job and kept with my PeopleSoft knowledge and stayed with that. Or I could have taken, which I did, the Salesforce job, which was this new innovative platform. So I think for me it was taking the risk and leaving the comfort of what I knew and coming on board to a company that was more a newer technology to my mindset. And it was like I said, it was really, really hard for me to learn it. But I think it is staying abreast of that technology and the latest. Now, like I said, sometimes stuff comes out and you have to wait for it. It's kind of like when a software first comes out, you don't buy the first version because you want the bug to come out and see. The same thing before you jump onto technology. How quick should I know about this? Do I need to, to wait a moment to see how this takes off? I mean, but that's your own judgment call. But you definitely want to stay abreast of it. I was talking to a great mentor of mine and a great friend of Ayori and mine, Mary Scotton, and we were talking about our feeds, our Twitter feeds, our Facebook feeds. And I said, you need to be conscious of what that feed. I said, it's called feed for a reason because it's feeding your thoughts and it's feeding your mind. So what are those feeds coming in? Are you being, are you being fed the same information you always knew, right? And it's re-solidifying stuff that you've always known. Are you following people that think differently? Are you following people that think negatively? Because those thoughts are feeding you indirectly. So I said, every quarter I do a cleanup of my feeds, and if I find people aren't adding value, I unfollow or I unfriend or unsubscribe, because I need to know that what I'm taking my time to read and look at is adding value or helping me stay relevant. So a lot of times, like my Twitter feeds and my Facebook feeds are things that are helping me grow and stay relevant first and foremost as a person, and then more specifically in technology.
I think that's very, very powerful what you just said, because especially about the Twitter feeds, because I usually, people will follow me, and sometimes I'll look and I kind of check them out and see whether or not, are they in the same field? What are they doing? That type of thing before I go and I add them, right? But recently, and this was probably in the past couple of weeks, I had to go through a cleaning phase too, because there was some controversy that happened, and it was just so minute and small, but everybody was tweeting about it. I'm trying to think if it had something to do with something about either Jay-Z and Beyonce or Kanye West and Kim Kardashian. There was just something that was going on. It was just so irrelevant. And everybody that tweeted anything about that, I removed them. Like, no, this is not what I want into my feed, right? This is not anything that's irrelevant to me or anything that I'm trying to accomplish at all. So if you are tweeting about Jay-Z and Beyonce's controversy, it was about the salon controversy.
Oh, yeah, they didn't have in the elevator. Yeah.
Yeah, anybody that was, and I try to follow, quite a few tech people, or mostly tech people, really. And it was like, oh, you're talking about that? And you make it a big, nope, click, unfollow. That's not the type of stuff that I want to hear about in my daily feed. And so I think that's real important that you mention that, and people out there as well can take heed to that as well. Like, this is, you want to, if you're going to have like a feed like Twitter, you want to be, you want information coming in that's going to be relevant, that's going to help you grow as a person, and not, all the nonsense that's going on out there. So right, and that is for you to judge what that is going to be. I mean, exactly. It's like with any analogy. When you choose food, you choose food that's going to feed you in a healthy, nutritious way. Yes, sometimes we choose some bad food. So yes, you can go visit some bad sites if you want it from time to time, but you have to be very conscious about what you're feeding into your body, right? You have to be very conscious about the thoughts that you're feeding into your mind when you read this stuff, because it does have an impact. I agree.
So that's one of the ways I try to stay relevant, is ensuring that I'm following innovators and people that are relevant and, and in the know. Some people are just all over the place so fast, it's so hard for me to stay abreast, but I definitely I'm not in the fast lane, but I'm not in the slow lane. I'm sort of in the middle lane.
So if you're listening and you're wanting to know what you need to have in your feed, you definitely need to have Blacks in Technology in your feed.
Absolutely.
So make sure you add Leah to your feed, and then also follow who she follows, because she's got it going on.
I better go clean up house right quick. Don't follow my cousin Ray. He's just a hot mess. I don't know what and I do not subscribe to that.
That was funny. So before we jump out of here, is there anything else that you want to share, you want to tell people about, anything that's going on with you, any events?
No, I mean, I just think I want to take a minute to pay homage to both Greg and Ayori for doing this. I mean, there aren't too many of us out there doing this. A lot of people are talking about the problem, you know, the lack of diversity in technology, but here you all are taking actions to help, you know, demystify that and change that fact that there aren't that many, but trying to get the word out and trying to educate and being a resource for many. So I just want to make sure that, you know, you all are acknowledged for that, and I do appreciate that.
Definitely. Thank you. Thank you a lot. So before we jump out of here, we want to do a quick lightning round. We did this on our last podcast, and I, you know, kind of like it. So we're going to continue the trend. We're going to do a lightning round. Do you want to do a lightning round this time, Ayori?
Yeah, let's go through it. It's fast.
All right,
yeah.
Let's do it.
It's like lightning.
Kick it off, Greg.
Oh, you want me to kick it off? Okay. All right. So, first question of the lightning round. Mainframe or cloud computing?
Cloud computing.
Woohoo. Cake or ice cream? Where did I get that
Ooh,
question?
cake.
Cake or ice cream?
Cake.
That's actually a good question then. STEM or STEAM?
STEAM.
STEAM.
Mm-hmm.
The artistic side, yes.
Mm-hmm.
iOS or Android?
Android.
Woohoo! Another Android fan. Star Trek. Go ahead.
I have both of them. Android.
Oh, okay. Star Trek or Star Wars?
Kirkland. Neither.
Kirkland.
Kirkland.
I have to include Kirkland as one of the choices next. Star Trek, Star Wars, or Kirkland? All right. Last but not least, fitness trainer or technical trainer?
Oh.
Yeah, I knew that would get you.
Teacher.
All right.
Whoa.
Yeah, that kind of messed me up there.
Yeah, I was
trying to get you to choose, and
I can't. I'll choose trainer.
Nice. I think that's it. That's it for the lightning round. You won.
Awesome. Do I get cake?
Yes, you get cake.
All right.
So, Leah, we're going to wrap. Yeah, definitely. This was a great podcast. I definitely want to thank you for joining us here tonight on the Big Tech Talk podcast. And thank you, Ayori, for getting Leah to come on board and talk to us. This is great.
Yeah, Ayori, and let us know how it's going down there over at Google I/O. I know you're down there representing, so.
Oh, yeah, it's going great. Folks, check out the videos from Google I/O. They are all posted online, available for everyone to listen in. Lots of great announcements from Android Wear to Android Auto to new technologies around stories and art and communication and visual, virtual reality. Everything that you can imagine are in those video releases. So make sure you check them out. There is a blog on blacksintechnology.net that links you directly to the videos. So make sure you check it out and share it on Twitter.
Definitely. And Leah, before we leave, can you go ahead if you want people to follow you, or how can people get in contact with you when they get in contact?
I have a Twitter account. I'm getting better at checking it and posting more regularly. It is at Leah BMH, at LEHBMH. Yeah, that's my Twitter. Don't expect a whole lot of, mind-boggling thoughts coming from me, but I do a lot of great retweets.
The retweet queen, there she is.
I'll take that title.
Well, thanks again, Leah, for joining us, and we got to have you back on here and talk more tech.
All right, definitely. You guys are great. Keep up the great work you're doing out there.
Thank you, and thank our audience for listening, and tune in next time for the next Big Tech Talk.
Thank you.
Take care.
Blacks in technology.
Blacks in technology. Blacks in technology. Blacks in technology. Blacks in technology. Blacks in technology.